I'm Johnny Ray, and this is 5 Hour Recovery, another episode of For Addicts, From Addicts, real, raw, unedited, unprepared testimonies of people who have gone through active addiction and have been willing to share a little bit about their story. With me is a friend of mine named Jennifer, and she has agreed to share a little bit of her testimony. Maybe you hear something that you can relate to, or maybe you can hear something that will help you. And without further ado, I'd like to say hi, Jennifer.
Hi, John.
How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome. So why don't we start with how did we know each other?
We grew up next door to each other.
For how long?
God, I don't even know.
Me
Okay,
neither.
like kindergarten, like elementary.
Yeah. Say elementary. So years and times fade with me.
Right?
It's still, now that I'm clean, I have to piece it all together. And it actually helps me by having these conversations, because then I start to realize, oh my gosh, that happened, and oh my gosh, that happened. So how young of an early age did you notice that you were an addict, or you started dealing with addiction?
21 when I hit my DUI, and also I had gotten into the Oxycontins right about that time as well. I grew up in a very toxic family where we all used together, and eventually, one by one, we did get sober together. And we all sold drugs too. We sold drugs to each other. So by the time I got to my first inpatient facility, I just had a baby, and I had I'd overdosed while I was doing an outpatient class. I was in the middle of like a relapse awareness because I completely lied my way through the, you know, whole interview process of it, because that's what they tell you to do as your so-called fellow friend addicts. And
Right.
you know, just lie your way through, you'll get through it.
Fellow friend addicts.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I I got this.
Yeah.
All right. And as I'm almost done with the class, I end up overdosing, and I had to call my counselor and tell her, and she had no idea I was getting loaded. Well, you pass up a couple more years, and next thing you know, now I'm getting loaded with that counselor.
Oh my gosh! Don't say her name.
I'm not saying her
Don't
name.
say
But
That's
you
so
know,
funny.
the circle does come around tenfold. With this very small world, everybody does know each other through 3 friends or more. But I've been using since I was 21. I'm now 34. So there's a long history of addiction. I've tried getting clean before, many times. The longest I could get was like a year, 15 months or so. And every other time it all ended the same, because I never worked the steps. I tried to work Jennifer Anonymous. I took the suggestions I wanted and let the other ones go. I'd never had worked the steps either, so I'd only really done my first step each time. And, it's kind of just got worse and worse each, time. I definitely found a new bottom every time that I had gone back out. So basically, by the 3rd time back out, I had been in another toxic relationship. You don't find love at the trap house, which is
Definitely not.
No. Well, that guy soon became the baby daddy, and we got clean for a minute, and then eventually I got pregnant, and we moved back from Eastern Washington because we had to go get my daughter back.
Okay, wait, slow it down. Okay, we're skipping a lot of important details and stuff. Okay, so you're 20. Let's start with 21.
Okay.
So you started drinking and doing oxys.
Yep.
Were your parents addicts?
Yes.
You said something like you guys were all family of addicts, and you guys all...
We all did. When I was 21, my dad was the one that brought home the heroin and was doing the heroin because he couldn't afford the oxys that me and my brother were selling. And we were not giving out deals just because he was dad. And, we were all using together at the time. And eventually we lost that house, and we all kind of scattered.
Was that the house on 108th?
That was a house on
109th?
On State Street across from Les Schwab. They called it the pharmacy.
When we lived at 100, they called it the pharmacy.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so not to take away from your story, but I absolutely love catching up with old friends. I remember shooting your sliding glass window out with a BB gun.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
That's so funny because I did not remember it until just now. So
you got in a lot of trouble for that.
I did get into a lot of trouble for that, and I lied about it. I told my dad that I had hit a baseball over the fence and that it broke your guys' window. And what my dad made me do is go over to your parents' house and go knock on the door and tell them, and then your dad and mom answer, and I'm like, yeah, I knocked a ball over the fence, and my dad drags me out back because my dad's always been, they were good parents. They were the type that disciplined me sternly, and he walked right up to the glass window and he looked at the hole and he's like, that looks like a BB hole to me. And I'm like, no, it was definitely not. And he's like, you wouldn't have took the BB gun out of the closet without asking me, would you? And I was like, I mean, no, why would I do that? And he was just like, wow, that's crazy. He goes, I'm pretty sure it looks like a BB gun hole to me. And finally I was like, okay, I shot out the window. And he beat my ass for that. He beat me so... I mean, shined my rear red, man. And it was so terrible because your parents were just like, it's not that big, it's not that big of a deal. Just replace the window. And my dad took it to a whole other level. Anyway, so that came back to me. Keep going. So your parents are addicts. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
Oh, shit.
It's so funny. You're one of the first people that I've talked to that I have some serious history with. Okay.
Yeah.
So keep going.
I don't know. There's just so many of years that it's hard to really go through because for me, I'm holding on to these last years because they were the absolute worst, and that's what I have to remember to keep myself clean from the toxic relationships, to being a Miss Independent woman, to being molded into a very codependent woman, very, well, how do I put it? He kept me home, I was very controlled. I couldn't do anything, without him. We were together 24/7. Unless one of us was in jail, that was the only time we were apart. It was good for a while, but I didn't see what was going on. Love is so blinding that you keep trying and you keep trying, and, with addiction, it's never going to work, is what I found. And, he beat me severely. I mean, we took domestic violence to a whole new level. We done pistol whipped people. We home invaded people, especially if they had more dope than we did. We had to take out the competition. We were playing around on the res, and it's a whole new game out there. And, when it came to bonus day and stuff, there's a couple people we followed out of the casino cashing that $5,000 check just to take. And it got pretty bad, tying people up to trees and out in the woods and leaving them. It was... he would send me in a lot of times to go get a drug dealer, basically prostitute me out, and I'd get the guy tied down to the bed and then take everything he had. So, and out I went. And yeah, it was really sad. He had no respect for me, and I eventually had no respect for myself. I just did what I had to do to keep him happy because I didn't want to get beat. It got to the point where he was beating on me, broke my face, black eye after black eye. Punched me so hard just for fucking off the 40 cal, which, by the way, he rigged up the clip, so every couple shots, the safety would pop up, you'd have to pop the clip up. It was lucky that thing didn't go off and explode in our hands or something. So out of all of our guns, I figured that was the one to, cluck off to try and get his attention, to piss him off. And, I mean, the cheating and everything that he was doing to me, it just was one thing after another. The best friend, what was so attractive about a man who's beating on me and cheating on me that you want to go and be with him? You're my best friend. I cried on her shoulder for a year. And right behind me, when it came down to the time to ask her, she knew I was trying to make it work and didn't understand what was going on. I thought it was my fault. Everybody kept telling me, Jen, you're the star of your own show. And I'm like, man, he's really got the wool pulled over your guys' eyes. Because I couldn't even so much as breathe right. We took domestic violence to a whole new level. We tased each other. We bear maced each other. Anytime I got in the car, he was ripping me around by my hair. I mean, my hair was so thinned out. It was bad. I didn't even want to go to a hairdresser because they would know exactly what was going on in this.
What drugs were you using at this time?
Meth and heroin.
Great combo.
Oh, together, yeah.
It's like...
but
everybody says that. Everybody I talk to, they go, meth and heroin. I'm like, Jiminy Christmas. Like, it's just like spectrum, bring it together, chaos.
At this point, I was only smoking this stuff while I was with them. It wasn't until we were completely not together anymore that I had lost complete respect for myself and was in the complete fuck-its, I started shooting back up. It'd been like 7 years since I had last done a shot because when we first got together, I was shooting methamphetamines. and, you know, hanging out at the trap house and boosting stuff. And, you know, we could have tons of money and he'd still send me into the store to go steal laundry soap or Christmas presents for the kids and stuff. And I was just pushing out carts, like, whatever. It didn't matter if we had $5,000 in our pocket. He wasn't going to give me a dime, you know? That was all for the drugs, the casino, or whatever he wanted. And I just, you know, we always paid off all his fines, and he just left me in the back to figure my own shit out. Eventually, he wanted me to get clean, get the kids back, but he wasn't going to get clean or stop selling drugs. And we had that conversation of, how can I get clean and do this when you're still doing that? You want me to get a job, but you won't drive me or let me take the car to go to an interview or anything, you know? And it just all got worse and worse as it kept going on. And by the time we weren't together, yeah, I started shooting back up. I lost the house. He went to jail for 9 months. By that point, it was who can get Jen for the most. The people who I thought were my friends, oh, help me store my stuff. You know, I really was, you know, pick these people out of the selection I had. This was the best I had, and I still got fucked off, go figure. Everything. Our shit had shit, all right? We had a garage so full of tools, you couldn't even flail around in it because, you know, we had 5 of everything. It didn't matter because, like, we traded for it all. And, God, even the bestest of homies, you know, sold a boat motor, a $9,000 boat motor. You know, I ended up getting fucking $100 for it. All I needed was the $2,000 for the PUD bill to save the house, but I could not get that for the life of me with all this shit that I had. You know,
people think there's value in stuff that they pawn in for drugs, and it's like, there's nothing there. No. It doesn't work that way.
But I had an entire house. I could have came up with the $2,000, and nothing was working out. It just kept getting worse and worse in my situation of trying. The harder I tried, the worse it got. And, you know, after I lost the house, I had called my dad over to come help me move all the shit to somewhere, and next thing you know, it's me and my dad and my dog living in his car with him, sleeping in the car. And I had family on the res, and I went to the family's property, and it was kind of like, you know, a bunch of people had our trailers and RVs on the property, and hanging out there after a while. Eventually, I'd met this guy that I was kind of somewhat seeing, but not really, and he had this RV, and I was like, well, hey, I'll give you a blowjob for the RV, you know, and it was all right, fine. Of course, you know, I think I probably got a better one back than he got, but it all worked out. So the things I did that were just, you know, so degrading to myself. I mean, I wasn't out there necessarily prostituting because in my eyes, you know, the best bag hoe was one that didn't have to open their legs, you know, because once you put out, well, there goes that guy, you know. If anything, they get mad, and a couple months later, they'd call you back, you know. And you could play the game all over again.
Right, and these are real, raw, unedited, unprepared, and I say that because people who have not gone through addiction have no idea that this is the norm. This is our lifestyle.
It's a whole nother lifestyle.
It's completely different, and when people want to share their stories, and then you try to sugarcoat people. That's not what it is. It's real. It's raw, and that's why, Jennifer, you're awesome. Is because you're telling stuff that is people can relate to. People are going to see this and go, man, I've done that, or I don't want to have to do that. What's my way out? So keep going. So you're in you're met a guy, trailer.
Yep, okay. and I cleaned this trailer out, and, you know, being a booster, I didn't have any income. I couldn't just, you know, make it to appointments, no doctor's appointments, no DSHS appointments to get, you know, other than your food stamps, you know, and your medical, just in case you need to go and take care of an abscess, you know, from the dope, because that was a common thing. I mean, and while I was at the trailer, we got the needle exchange to come and bring me brand new clean points, and, you know, everything but the dope, basically, is what they would bring come Christmas time. They brought us a little care package of brand new socks and cookies and more cleans, and, you know, it was great. We thought. My hustle was actually stealing from stores. I didn't have the look of a drug addict necessarily, and I did my own dirt right in my own backyard. I mean, I hit up store to store to store right here in Marysville, and, you know, the cops knew me as being a straight nuisance. They're like, they would arrest me, they'd try to give me some heart-to-heart talk, say, Jen, you're not a bad girl. You just make poor decisions. Get your shit together. And basically, when I started getting sloppy with my boosting and getting caught up for stealing candy bars or, or just piddly things, considering I was pushing out full shopping carts full of shit on a regular, time and time again, that it was a cry for help, By the time everything caught up to me, I was already trying to get into inpatient. And the reason I was trying to get into inpatient is because since I started shooting, I'd overdosed so many times that I had became immune to the Narcan. And normally when you Narcan somebody, you get really sick, you get the cold chills, you can't get loaded again, you have to wait at least 4 hours, if not 8. I never would necessarily take a Suboxone either. On my days I was dope sick, I'd just get up and I'd just figure out a hustle of whatever it could have been, any which way to make money. I had to always be on top, always find somebody to trade stuff. Meanwhile, I was keeping myself well, and for a long time there, it was just maintaining. And that's what I was taking care of my dad too. He was in addiction with me. And it was just so long and so hard. I just got tired of being a failure to every which way I went. I could not get a handout or, somebody to help me. People would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go clean. And I'd be like, wait, hold on, wait for me. Like I needed somebody to, because I was so codependent, I didn't know how to take the first steps, being in such a toxic and controlled relationship. So, I'd overdosed so many times I got immune to the Narcan. They're Narcanning me to give me 3 to 5 nasal sprays or a whole syringe of the injection Narcan. And I was coming out of it and I was still loaded. I was coming back out of it going, man, that was a good one. And people are getting mad at me, because they were tired of me doing a shot and damn near dying right there, I mean, I scared the hell out of a lot of people, including my own father.
So talk about your kids.
So I have a 10-year-old daughter, about to be 11, and I have a 6-year-old son. And, well, my daughter has been through a lot. I have 2 different baby dads, because my daughter's the oldest, and I'd given her to my aunt once when she was a baby, when I'd first overdosed, and my aunt had her for a while, and then I got her back, and then when I lost him again, my aunt decided to take just my daughter, not my son, because now it's going to be too much to have a baby around. Mm-hmm. So he went with the tribal side of his family, and basically now my son lives with his father and his father's twin. And he is, I guess, doing good and is clean and sober, but is kind of jacked up that he is able to live there. And I'm still 9 months sober, doing really great. All these amazing things are happening, and I can't get an actual visit. They make my mother mediate that with my son. So that is a very slow growing process. My daughter had gone from my aunt's. Then her father got out of prison, got custody of her again, and had her for like 30 days and was basically parenting out of guilt. Whatever, wouldn't make her go to school, wouldn't make her get up and get in the bath or whatever. Would call my mom for help when she wasn't doing anything that, he wanted. And eventually, after the 30-day mark, he was already loaded again and had ran a car into his new wife's garage and peeled the tires completely off.
Why do I see you smiling at this story? Because deep down she's like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, but you're telling me the story as you're cracking up, and I'm like, oh, this is real. This is real stuff right here.
All right, let's rewind back. Baby daddy number 1. When I got high with him, I remember coming out of a date really hungover the next morning, throwing up in my driveway, and here he comes with the dope man with some oxys. I remember looking at this guy saying, look at this ugly motherfucker, but damn, those are some pretty eyes. 3 days of getting high, I hooked up with the guy, and we got pregnant the first time we had sex. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, about that. There's been so many years of addiction here. It's really hard to get it all in one and try to remember it all at once, okay?
That's why we just hit record. That's the whole reason why. This is all new. This
is very, very raw and very unprepared. I was not prepared to do this right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean?
That's awesome.
We're doing what?
It's so good.
What happened to going out and having fun?
I had ulterior motives. That's so good. Okay, so continue.
What else do you want to know?
So let's see.
I mean, the kids. My brother has my daughter now,
okay.
and I get to see her all the time. They are very supportive of me. When I had finally gotten clean, I actually got arrested on my 6 warrants that I had. They took me to Snohomish County. I tried getting out, because, hey, I'm going to inpatient. I called Olala. I had the 3 weeks of call-ins. I would just need to call one more time, and they had my bed date for me. But I got arrested. So I need to get out, and that's what I'm telling the judge. And I was not going to get out on a $100 bail even. And then...
so now you're in Western Washington as compared to Eastern Washington?
Yes, I'm in
They said they sent you back from Eastern to Western, right?
Yeah,
okay.
They did send me back. So I'm in Western Washington, and we're over here in Snohomish County. Mind you, I have dope up my,
Raw.
Yes. And I had a tea, and I couldn't remember exactly how much, I was allowed to have before it was a felony. So as I'm up there in medical in Snohomish County, I don't want to eat. The food is horrible, especially when you're dope sick and coming down. So I'm, parachuting some shards, Well, I did a little too much and started kind of freaking out because 23 hours in your cell on a good fucking flail is not okay. I had to press that button, and I did not think about the strip search when I tried telling them, okay, I'm just going to fake like I'm overdosing or something, that I did way too much drugs, and maybe they'll let me out. This is where my best thinking got me.
Oh my gosh.
That I didn't put the dope far enough back up for them to... that they wouldn't find it. So when they took me back down to booking to strip search me, they found it. Now I got me a felony charge on top of those 6, warrants that I was in there for. I could have just waited one more day and I probably would have been out. I don't know. But...
wow, shot yourself in the foot!
Completely.
Completely. Okay.
So I sit in there for about 15 days, actually, talking to the attorneys. They get me into inpatient. They have somebody come and give me an assessment in jail. Mind you, I had to spend on a 72-hour hold in booking in the green turtle suit with no uniform on, completely naked, just a mat on the floor and one wool blanket.
Yeah, like an animal almost. Yeah.
Yes, the lights don't go off. It's noisy as hell because everybody's coming in 24/7 through booking. 72 hours in there. Dope sick, completely detoxing now off everything for 3 days. And that's basically how I got clean. By the time I made it back to general population, I had to ask, I was like, man, 911 prayers. God, if you're really out there, I really need a sign because, if I get out, I don't know how to stay clean. I don't know that I can stay clean. I was crying because I wanted to get loaded, but I didn't want to get loaded. I knew if I got out, I was going to go right back to it and nothing was going to happen. So, eventually, I got shipped out to PCN in Cedar Woolley. I did 28 days there. And then from there, I had gotten, the sheriff's program got me out of jail. The officer,
nice.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheriff's program, yeah.
Yeah, the sheriff's program. And they got me into...
What's PCN?
Pioneer Center North.
Okay. Plug it. So every time we say a center or...
Yeah, Pioneer Center North.
Right, and the reason we plug it is because hopefully they'll want to get involved in 5-hour recovery and help people get clean. So keep going.
Well,
so did that work for you?
A little bit, but the first time I'd been to inpatient, I'd gone to Evergreen Manor in Everett, and that was 6 months. So PCN, I thought it was way too easy. I didn't think, considering I had knowledge of recovery and the 12-step programs, I was like, my recovery is not going to start until I get out here. This is just a refresher upper on my tools to what I need to have in my toolbox. So you did
6 months at Evergreen Recovery?
Yeah, okay. In my very first time when Chantel was a baby and I did my first overdose. Mm-hmm. Mind you, that first overdose, my dad gave me the shot that killed me. My own father. And, and that was just from rinsing his cottons. And it wasn't even actual dope. It was the leftover shit. So, but PCN I found to be extremely easy. I didn't think my recovery was going to start until I got there, so I was really eager to get out. My mom was really afraid for me to not ask for an extension, and I'm like, I'm an addict. I'm not going to ask for it to be here any longer. Are you kidding me? I want to get out. Either I'm going to make it or I'm not. It's a roll of the dice here. So let's just test the luck. How bad do I really want to stay clean this time? And I was just so sick of it, and I didn't want to die, and I didn't want to leave my children without a mother, and to have them grow up and saying, "Oh, my mom died of a drug overdose." It's what little bit of morals I did still have. That was something that weighed heavy on my heart. I got tired as a mom having that hole in my heart, trying to fill it with the drugs, so I didn't have to feel that pain and emptiness. Because every time I go forward, whatever stopped me in my tracks backpedaled me to the fullest. So by the time I got clean and got out, they put me in a Judy Hoff. It's a women's faith-based house just for women.
Yep. Is it Esther's Place, or is that?
It's Esther's. It's part of Esther's Place. Yes.
Yep. Plug it. Esther's Place. Judy Hoff. Love her.
They also work with the.
I've met Judy. She's awesome.
Judy is amazing. This woman has done everything. This woman, I'm not the most religious type. I am working on my spirituality. My spirituality I kind of have, but the religion part is what I'm working with now. Going to church.
Smart.
But this lady got me to be baptized in November in Lake Goodwin.
I saw the pictures.
Yes. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm trying to please this woman or something. I don't know what it was. There was definitely a higher power working behind this whole thing. And I just couldn't see it. So I just played it out. And I just kept pushing and growing and growing. Eventually they made me the resident assistant of this place. And I just kept pushing and growing farther that, I'm unstoppable at this point. I have, my clean date is 9/8/19.
Nice.
I have 9 months.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know Lori?
I think it's 9 months and 18 days. I'm not sure.
She has helped Judy Hoff at Esther's Place. Lori Hardy is her name.
Maybe.
If you know. She's been a mentor for me. So just anyway, keep going.
All right.
So you're 9 months clean.
9 months and 18 days.
Nice.
I have a job. I work at Palace Shelters. I build homeless shelters for the homeless.
Awesome.
It is a second chance place. They don't care if you just got out of prison. They will hire you. You got a criminal background. They don't care. You can get loaded, come back, and reapply in 30 days, and they'll probably hire you back again.
Wow, that's awesome, except for the getting loaded, coming back part. Don't do that.
No.
Yeah.
Because then, you're just going to be like, okay, how long till the next? No.
Right.
You just want to keep growing and bettering yourself, and they are willing to give you that chance because they believe everybody deserves a second chance. So I'm quite honored to be a part of that, to giving back, and to get paid for it too.
Nice.
And to just stand behind something that is so much greater than myself.
So.
And doing better.
So what advice would you have for any young ladies who are going through something that you went through?
Well, if you're in the domestic violence situation, there is other ways. Reach out, talk to somebody. There are many safe things and places you can go and many people out there. I never knew how much help there was for me. And I felt really, really like an idiot because I didn't reach out nearly enough. You can go to DSHS and tell them, and they'll walk you right out the back door if your old man's sitting in the lobby, and they will put you up somewhere. They will help you 100%. Get you into your own place, get you back to being on your own feet. As far as being a woman and trying to get clean, don't give up. It doesn't matter how long your kids have been taken away. You can almost always eventually get them back and to keep fighting. And as long as you keep fighting, just know that you're need, wanted, and loved, and that you are worthy. And, I'm going to have my license back here soon. I just got my first car, and everything's coming together. And it's almost about that time to where, I have to remember not to self-sabotage because, I am worthy of all this. And that, I really have worked on me for this last 9 months. I don't necessarily go out and date. I don't, worry about all this other bullshit. I just worry about me, and I worry about my kids and making, not necessarily amends, but just making things right with my family. And I just really stick close to the winners, and I hang out with the winners because without them, I'm not going to get very far from hanging out with people with less clean time than me.
Dang right.
And, living in a clean and sober house like that, you start realizing, that you just need to hang out with people with longer clean time because eventually they kind of just get annoying. You're like, you can't think like that. What are you doing?
So we'll wrap it up with this. So obviously you can help people that I can't reach.
Definitely.
One of these things that I do is the reason we do this is because I'd like you to join my network.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to join 5 Hour Recovery because when ladies call and they need somebody's story or they need somebody's help, would you be interested in helping me with that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have a lot of resources, Johnny. Like, I help all the girls in my house, you know, is getting them where they need to go, getting everything set up.
And I'm proud of you. I think it's so awesome to see where you come. This is raw. I mean, this is man, stories like this, you can't make this stuff up. Like that, it's like you can't write a movie.
We could keep going for a whole other half hour, but let's not. Okay, I'm starting to sweat here. I'm like, oh man.
This is awesome. Okay, so I'm Johnny Ray.
I'm Jennifer Landert.
Thank you for your story, Jennifer. That was absolutely awesome. If you want to share your testimony with me, you can email me at 4addictsfromaddicts@gmail.com. You can also comment below or subscribe to my YouTube channel at Johnny Ray Jr. Like I said, this is just something that we surprisingly do, and it makes the story awesome. So thank you, Jennifer, again, and thank you for listening.
Thanks.